So you might remember that earlier this year, the House Foreign Affairs Committee released the findings on the origins of the coronavirus pandemic. And this was a huge report. It was published after months of research, and the big takeaway, it didn't come as a surprise to anybody. China actively did their best to cover up the outbreak of the coronavirus, and the whole world suffered as a result. Now, the media, they didn't want to make much of a report of this back in September when it was released, and that's probably because it cut against the popular political narrative at the time, and they feared becoming a victim of the left's cancel culture. But now in December, you have CNN, and they've finally woken up and published an investigative report of their own on the many lies told by the Chinese Communist Party.
An unprecedented leak of internal Chinese documents to CNN reveals for the first time what China knew in the opening weeks of the COVID-19 pandemic, but did not tell the world.
Now, in this report, CNN obtained 117 pages of leaked documents from the medical facility in Hubei, home of Wuhan, where the coronavirus outbreak began. And according to these records, even as Chinese officials were telling the world that they had the virus under control, their own statistics showed the true number of cases was more than double what China officially reported. The CCP also lied about how many of their citizens died due to the coronavirus when they knew what was going on at the time. For example, on February 17th, they claimed that only 93 people had lost their lives, when the actual number was more than double that. There is no telling how long these lies went on for, or if they have even stopped to this point. CNN's reporting further confirms what we already knew. The Chinese Communist Party falsified data to hide the extent of the outbreak, and in doing so, they kneecapped any proactive response that could have stopped the spread of the virus before it became a global pandemic. And if China's leadership had been transparent and had acted as a responsible global leader at the onset of this crisis, rather than like a rogue pariah state, countless lives could have been saved across the globe. Now, beyond the obvious, why does this matter? When any country unleashes a pandemic upon the world through its criminal actions and cover-ups, that matters, especially when that country is clear about its intention to become the world's dominant superpower. The Chinese Communist Party must be held accountable for their crimes, or else they will continue to repeat them. Now, we also need to understand the origins of COVID-19, because this virus is not the first time that the Chinese Communist Party has presided over the outbreak of a pandemic. In 2003, the SARS virus devastated East Asia. And if this pattern continues, then we will find ourselves on track for another potential pandemic to arise out of China within the next couple decades. And we need to understand what went wrong now if we want to avoid falling victim to China's lies and deception all over again. Now, while this pandemic started in China, thanks to the Communist Party's criminal deceit, thanks to their negligence, it will end here in America thanks to the genius of American scientists and our ability to produce 2 COVID-19 vaccines in record time. If China gives rise to a third pandemic in the 21st century, I have no doubt that America could repeat this great achievement. But I would rather us hold China accountable right now and ensure that the world never sees a virus like this again. That's why I've introduced a resolution to empower the United States of America to do just that. China holds a little over $1 trillion in U.S. Treasury debt. That's a fraction of the true cost of this pandemic. We should not feel obligated to pay back a country that, through its actions and negligence, has cost us so much more. It's time to hold China accountable for their crimes, and for every other country across the globe to do the same.